Let's freaking go. LSU wins the single most important rivalry to me, which is the battle for the Golden Boot. Shout out to Michael Van Buren. We'll start off with him. It was a really good day, 21 of 31. He wasn't the reason LSU won, but you do have to ask a very simple question. Does Garrett Nussmeier win this game instead of Michael Van Buren? It's obviously a difficult question to answer, but the truth is Michael Van Buren actually led us to an SEC victory, which is something we have been clamoring for a few weeks now. So big shout out to Michael Van Buren. Is he the quarterback of the future? That's going to be the big question. Is he someone that you can easily build upon, whether it's a new coach, whether they somehow decide to keep Frank Wilson around, whatever the case may be, the future will be the future. But give Michael Van Buren a lot of credit. Now he has a big question he wants to answer. Is he going to sacrifice a year of eligibility to start these final two games? I don't think he has the option. I think we need him to play these final few games. So we shall see what happens. You could have to go all the way down to Emil Picarella of U High. I wouldn't mind that. I like Emil a lot. So look, we'll see what happens as far as that is concerned. But you should celebrate. I understand that the entire world is trying to figure out who the next coach is going to be. And I get it. I totally understand. We all want to know who the next coach is going to be for the LSU Tigers. But all I have to say is STTDB. Arkansas wishes they had just a sliver of the success that we have had. And look, the bottom line is when you actually look at the yard per play numbers, Arkansas was the better team today. But here's the truth. When it comes down to it, the Arkansas Razorbacks are going to Arkansas Razorback. So I don't know about you. I am drinking each and every one of these bourbons to the bottom of the bottle, baby. Chris Stapleton style, baby. Tennessee whiskey, LSU whiskey, Kentucky whiskey, Alaskan whiskey, Malaysian, Caucasian whiskey. I don't care. I'm drinking it all tonight. And look, I just have to share one very simple question. I just have to share one simple question to each and every one of your beautiful souls right now. Why on this planet Earth are we the luckiest group of people to ever walk the face of this earth? Because we have gotten to see Patrick Peterson. We have gotten to see Tyrann Mathieu, and I was blessed. I was so blessed I got to see those two legends. I was so lucky to be at LSU when these two legends got to play. And then after that, we had Greedy Williams. After that, we had Dante Action Jackson, who's having a great season for the Los Angeles Chargers. We got Christian Fulton. We got Derek Stingley Jr. But we are so blessed, ladies and gentlemen, to have Mansour Delane. What the heck is this? This was one of the single best cornerback performances I can remember. We do not win this game today without number 4, the Virginia Tech transfer, Mansour Delane. He is an interesting personality. He is a leader of men. He is a guy that is going to be a lock first rounder. God bless the USA. And I know that I'm the most blessed individual of all time to get to watch this young man play. It was worth me going to the only game I'm going to get to see in person this year. I'm so happy I came because the bottom line is I love seeing greatness in the flesh. I really, really, really do. But today, in 2025, the year of our Lord, whichever metaphysical being you might celebrate or you might worship, thank that deity for allowing Mansour Delane to come play for us this year. Holy moly, what a game today. What a freaking game today. I even left the game before we started this live stream, and I've already cut a Mansour Delane film study. It's on Twitter at PowerHourLSU. You can watch it for yourself. And I didn't even break down the interception. I broke down the final play that he was able to break up, and the Arkansas Razorbacks, of course, had a kick to win it or a kick to take the lead, and they missed it. So I understand. We're worried about the future, and we're worried about the next head coach. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Well, I guarantee you we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Mansour Delane, thank you so much. Now, Mansour Delane's my game MVP. Shout out to Harold Perkins. In the 3 games he has played versus the Arkansas Razorbacks, you can make a case that these were the 3 best games that he has ever played. Obviously, in 2022, nothing's ever going to beat that. He had a pretty good game in 2023, and he did it again. He did it again. What a great game for number 7. But I am biased. I am absolutely biased. I'm so biased towards Jack Piper. So why did I come down to Baton Rouge for this game? So a lot of you know, my Friday nights have been locked up this year. I got to call high school football for the entire season. Was coming to the LSU Arkansas game. And I was on the fence. Actually, I was going the entire time. But what put it over the hump is Jack Pyburn's family invited me to their tailgate before the game.
Tell them the real reason why you came here.
And I also came here for this pasta right here.
Yeah, that's the real reason.
So Jack Pyburn's family has become my family. They have been so nice to me. Obviously, Jack was on the channel earlier this season, and they invited me to their tailgate so I can meet them because I talked to Jack's dad pretty frequently, and Jack's been a good friend of mine, but more so his father. But, you know, I don't like talking to players too much during the season because, well, they're busy. So Jack and I haven't really talked a whole lot this season, and, you know, I've developed a good friendship, went to the tailgate, met his entire family, even met his dog, his beautiful dog. And what do you know? What do you know? This young man plays the best game of his career. Today. And I had the good fortune, the really good fortune, after the game. So we were sitting on the lower level. And after I ran into Bill, Jack's dad, after the game, I wasn't sitting on this side. I went to go see my parents on the other side of the field, which is on the LSU side. I go to see my parents, and guess what? Bill waves me down. That's Bill in the background, his dad, who's become one of my really, really, really good friends. And there is your boy next to Jack Pyburn. Really, really, really good stuff. Very lucky to have multiple friends that play for this team. I'm so happy that this team is still together. If this team was not together, they would have lost today. If this team didn't care, they would have lost today. So I am so very happy that I got to go to this game today. And I'm so very happy I got to see you guys. Everyone that stopped and said hi, I appreciate it. I don't deserve it. It's still strange to get stopped when you go to a game. I appreciate you. I really, really, really do. Took a bunch of photos today. Tagged me in them. And there we go. Now, let's talk more about this game as we always do. Thanks to our friends at Labor Therapy and labortherapy.com. 5 different locations throughout the Lafayette region. Check out Thomas and the team. If you got any type of pain in your body, go to Labor Therapy. labortherapy.com. Book your appointment today. And guess what? Let them know that PHL sent you. They knock a good chunk off. Check them out, Labor Therapy, labortherapy.com. And then, of course, our friends at Fortified Gulf Coast and fortifiedgulfcoast.com. Shout out to them. Okay, now, next thing. Let's talk about the yard per play disparity. As a lot of you know, we are big yard per play people. And this was yet again another game where LSU got pretty much dominated in this category. LSU averaged 5.6 yards per play. Arkansas averaged 6.3 yards per play. What was the difference in this game? Well, the big one for me was the third down disparity. LSU was 8 for 17 on third down. They hadn't been that great on third down throughout the season. 8 for 17 is not really that great either. Arkansas, though, you're able to get them off the field on third down. They were good on fourth down, as you can see. They were 5 for 15 overall, though, and I think that was a huge difference. You know, this season, Arkansas has been really, really, really good in the red zone. LSU has not been that good in the red zone. You start off 14-0. Believe it or not, this is the second 14-0 lead that a Bobby Petrino head coach Arkansas Razorback team has lost in Tiger Stadium. They were up 14-0 in 2011, and that's when Tyrann Mathieu did what he did in that game, the punt return touchdown, and we never looked back, winning that one 41-14. And in that game, obviously, we scored 41 unanswered points. In this game, we scored 16 unanswered. And then, of course, Taylen Green led Arkansas down the field 8-0, an amazing 2-point conversion by him. But then, of course, we finally got a big touchdown from Sharp on that final drive. You know, I'm just happy we won the game, but we do need to be honest about that final drive as far as Michael Van Buren. Was it a great drive? Absolutely. But if you really break down that final drive, it was 2 different trick plays that got us down the field, which obviously is a really good thing. We'll take trick plays. And then, of course, the Sharp rollout on 3rd and 6. really, really, really bad defensive back play. We were trying to run mesh, and we roll out to the right side. There were some receivers to the right side, and Barsharp did a good job finding the open space and scoring. It was also bad play by the Arkansas safety, Larry Worth, number 3. I don't know why he wasn't covering Barsharp in that situation, but we'll take it. It was a really good job by number 11, Michael Van Buren. And then, of course, the big thing to me was at the end, the big Michael Van Buren scramble. That was the difference. The story of this game, though, once again, it was a tough game, but it was a feasible game by the the LSU offensive line. Look, LSU did not have their best day in the trenches, but it also wasn't a terrible day. The offensive line wasn't unbearable. It was a weird day with the offensive tackle rotation being the way that it was. We were moving Carius Kern around. We were moving Ori Williams around, and we obviously played Weston Davis. Weston Davis had a tough day. That's nothing new. He's just not a good football player. But it wasn't as bad of a game as it was in some of these other games for Weston Davis. I thought the middle of LSU's offensive line had themselves a really good day today. Thompson did some good things. Braylon Moore was fantastic. But if you're really to talk about an offensive MVP in this game, and you're really to dissect who really stood out for LSU on the offensive side of the football, it's pretty simple. All 3 of LSU's running backs had phenomenal days today. I understand none of them had a 100-yard rushing day. None of them really just did something truly, truly, truly spectacular. But behind this offensive line, and I understand this Arkansas defense isn't great either, but even with those 2 things being the way that they are, Caden Durham was amazing. 12 carries for 65 yards and a touchdown. Made a guy miss in the hole to have the long touchdown run. Had a very similar one to the left side versus Arkansas last season. And then, of course, Harlan Berry, 11 carries for 52 yards and a long of 14. Harlan Berry, once again, is having a fantastic true freshman season. The box score is very unfair to him. The stat lines are going to be very unfair for him in this true freshman redshirt burned season. And then, of course, Michael Van Buren, the big run at the end, a 35-yard scramble, which truly was a difference maker. Him stepping up in the pocket and getting the job done. And then Jawan Johnson had himself a really good day today. 1 carry for 7 yards, but he had a very critical trick play that got the job done for us. Okay, 1 throw for 14 yards at completion, of course, to Taylen Green. It's a weird game for the wide receivers. It was a tough day for Barry and Brown overall. The drops really did hurt us. Cliff, who was with me at the game, was screaming at those drops. I would be too. The drops were absolutely positively atrocious. But other than that, Barry and Brown did do some good things. And then, of course, I think it's pretty clear at this point that the best wide receiver on this team from start to finish this year has to be Zavion Thomas. I really don't think at this juncture it's close. Obviously, if Aaron Anderson had stayed healthy the full time, he would have been the best wide receiver on this team. And probably Garrett wouldn't be as bad as he was up to this point in the season, because a lot of what Garrett did last year was thanks to great play from Aaron Anderson. But the truth is, Zavion Thomas, what a season for him. And he's making himself quite a bit of coin, I feel, in the NFL. He probably won't get drafted, but he's definitely going to be a really good special teamer. And then we get to the special teams. Look, this was a really, really good day, obviously, for the LSU field goal kicking. You don't really pay too much attention to Ramos, but keep in mind, this young man has been the LSU field goal kicker for all 4 seasons of the Brian Kelly era. He hit not 1, not 2, but 3 field goals of 40+. Ramos will not go down as the best LSU kicker, probably not second or even third, but he has definitely been a very, very, very good kicker. And then, of course, Arkansas missed their field goal. So you had a net today of 12 points when the ball hit the foot of a field goal kicker today, and that is absolutely positively phenomenal. Of course, you had the block punt touchdown, and many are asking, hey, was it Barsharp that blew his block on the block punt touchdown? The answer to that is kind of sort of true. You can look at it from a couple of angles. It looks as if the punt was going to get blocked regardless of if Bauer would have picked up that one guy. There's 2 guys right there to block it. Of course, it would have been nice. It would have been really, really, really nice if the punt wasn't blocked, but it is what it is. Okay. We say hi to Tony. We say hi to we say hi to Hal. We say hi to Fred. MVB can't actually run and move around in the pocket. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for being here on a glorious afternoon. Once again, with these post-game shows, it could get crazy. We could have special guests coming in. Cliff's going to be on here in a second. I want to talk about the game day environment. You can't really take too much away from this game day environment. The stadium was kind of empty. There was a lot of open seats. We had seats on the 50-yard lines. What happened to me was something that has never happened to me before. So we gave out 2 tickets to some PHLers. And then we get to the game, and there was 3 different sets of people who texted me and said, Carter, I see you're at the game. Do you want tickets? And I was like, well, yeah, I'm here. And they just sent them to me. So I had all these extra tickets. I was trying to give them out, trying to call as many friends as I possibly could. And there were so many empty seats. It makes sense. I don't know when deer season starts, but people are ready to move on with their lives when it comes to that. Senior night is next week. I want to see a good crowd there. Hopefully we see a good crowd. But it also didn't help that LSU was down 14-0. I saw a few people leave after that, which is crazy to me. You're already at the game. You're not going to sit in a lot of traffic. The traffic's a lot easier to deal with when it is an 11 a.m. kick. But overall, the crowd was fine. I also like the fact that the players really ran towards the trophy. It's weird because this game kind of became our Super Bowl in many ways. This will be the biggest moment of our season. I think considering the opt-outs, Delane probably won't play the bowl game. This will probably be the signature win of the season, especially what we know about Clemson. For me, it's going to be the signature win because this was Frank Wilson's win. And I do want to bring up Frank. Yes, there was a blown timeout in a situation where you probably don't want to blow a timeout in the second half of a close game. And I have been blasting the entire LSU coaching staff over that. We did it again. But the bottom line is Frank won the game in a game where both locker rooms had a lot of reason to just not show up whatsoever. So big shout out to Frank Wilson. We called Tony. I thought Tony was going to the game, and he never called me back. I called Master Blaster. We said hi to Christopher. Honestly, I don't think MVB will be the starting quarterback next season. So look, on Tuesday, or actually Monday night, you will get your full Michael Van Buren film study. And you'll get the good and the bad. Obviously, it started off rough. It's LSU football and Arkansas football. Arkansas has been the best opening script team in the country. So what did we tell you? We said, bet Arkansas first half or bet Arkansas first quarter. I bet Arkansas first quarter because LSU starts slow. And this was the best live betting opportunity ever because Arkansas loses every game because they're the Arkansas Razorbacks. Also, the under hit. We told you to take the under as well. This game was kind of predictable to me. It kind of went the way that I thought. LSU's not really that great of a team. It's okay to admit that. We have some really strong pieces. Big game from Jack Pyburn. Big game from Mansour Delane. Halsey did some good things today. We have 2 really good running backs. But we're sloppy. Okay, we're sloppy. But I like the way that LSU found ways to get it done today. And one thing I thought was very interesting on that final drive, I want to go back to the final Michael Van Buren drive. We finally started using some trick plays, all right? When your offense isn't good, run trick plays, run heavy. And what trick plays basically come down to is misdirection. It's a sleight of hand. Most of the best offenses in college football are misdirection offenses. It's hard to run against Division I Power 4 players, just north and south, outside zone, those kinds of very simple plays. LSU did a good job saving a few tricks up their sleeve and finding a way to get this victory done. Okay? So, you then get into the play calling. Blake Baker on third down was mostly good today. There were some confusing third down calls, but for the most part, he was good today. There were no massive Taylen Green runs in the second half at the very least. The 2-point conversion, he has done that runaround thing a gazillion times. He's going to do that at least once. The touchdown run was very inexcusable. But other than that, Taylen didn't have one of these run wild games like he did versus A&M and like he did versus Tennessee. So, it wasn't the best in terms of stopping a dual threat quarterback. But overall, I think LSU did a good job of keeping him in the pocket. Give Dylan Carpenter a lot of credit. He did some good things. Jacoby and Guillory as well. Bernard Gooden had a huge rush to force a sack to C.J. Jackson. I like the fact that LSU rotated some other defensive ends into the game. Patrick Payton was a no-show versus Alabama, and they didn't play him as much today. They moved in some other names in there, and I was very happy that they did that. So big shout out to all the LSU Tigers that went out there and got the job done today. Now, we then get into the Garrett Nussmeier situation. Okay. So, Garrett was wearing a headset. For half the game, I was behind the Arkansas bench. And then for the final quarter, I went to go see my parents on the home sideline. And I'm glad I did because I wouldn't have been able to take that photo with Jack. Okay. So we go over and I was able to watch the LSU sideline. So I'll be honest. I was able to watch the game, but my parents sit low enough where you're kind of close to the bench to see how, mannerisms and stuff like that. And I paid attention to Garrett Nussmeier. He had a headset on and, this was up for most of the time. And he did a good job staying involved. The Mansour Delane touchdown, I have a video of it. I'm going to post it. He did run over and celebrate with the team. So I do think there's going to be, and it goes back to our first super chat here from Sourdough Man. People want to compare Nuss to MVP. Nuss, a fifth-year senior who had 75% of the snaps, turnovers, and sacks versus MVP with sophomore, less snaps, no turnovers today, won the game passing and running, and the last run sealed the game. I do think, and I understand we want to be in the spot where, I saw Braden Fiocco tweet out, LSU would be 7-2 if Michael Van Buren was a starter instead of Garrett Nussmeier. That's just not true. That's not true. I don't think we'd be 7-2. You can make a strong case that we don't win today if MVP is not the quarterback. But let's acknowledge and be rational here that this was the worst defense in the SEC we have played by a wide margin. And we were at home. Okay, so please make sure you add that into your conversation. Now, if you want to have a conversation of, do we beat potentially Vanderbilt if Michael Van Buren is the quarterback? Maybe. Ole Miss is definitely a conversation I would have. But the problem with that is the LSU defense played so badly in both of those games. So it's a hard conversation to have. Now, the Alabama game's a little bit different because the LSU defense did show up. And Garrett did miss some things in the Alabama game. That's probably a conversation that we could have, especially considering the team by then had already turned the page to Michael Van Buren. Okay, but now we get into an even deeper discussion. All right. So it wasn't just the pie burns that I saw. I was able to speak to, a personnel guy briefly before the game. And I was also able to, speak to another player's parent via text. I wasn't able to actually run into him. And, the belief is that we would be in a better spot if MVP was the guy from the get-go, or we moved to him a little bit sooner. And the truth is, as we move forward, let's just say we were one win better, or more importantly, one loss worse, because the college football playoff is still the first talking point is how many losses do you have? That's always the first talking point. And it's like that in college football all the time. 2019 LSU, what's the first thing you think of? Not the 15, you think of the they didn't lose. Avoiding losing in college football is more important than winning. Even if LSU was one win better, and let's say you went out and you're 9-3, and let's say Oklahoma does beat Alabama, you're still in the playoff race right now. If Michael Van Buren is your quarterback and you're one win better. Does Michael Van Buren at quarterback beat Florida? Probably so. Does Michael Van Buren at quarterback beat South Carolina? Probably so. But does he beat Clemson? I don't know. It's a different discussion for a different day. So we can do the woulda, coulda, shoulda all we want. But where this, because look, this is the number one thing. This is the number one text message I got, the DMs, all of it. Former players, current players, all that stuff. This is what I would say. I would hear out the theoretical arguments between Garrett and Nuss, or I say Garrett and Nuss, Garrett and MVB a little bit more if it was just the quarterback position that has been holding LSU back. But football is a team game, and we have been beyond abysmal at quite a few positions. So we don't know. I do think it's a little too much. It's not the same thing as like discussing, let's use for an example, the Indianapolis Colts, which for the past couple of seasons have been elite. They have been elite. Chris Ballard's a great GM. He has built a great team. They just had a bad quarterback. They are very good at every position. They get a decent quarterback in Daniel Jones, and now they're the best team in the AFC right now. They're one quarterback away. So I don't know. And then obviously the bigger question is going to be the future. What is the future with Michael Van Buren? Is he someone that's so good that whoever the new coach is going to be there, he's going to want him to be his quarterback? I don't know. Okay. Now let's go to Platinum Obama. Let's get to a good bowl game. Oh, here's the truth. I was talking to Cliff about this on the way in. LSU's at 6. And the best we can get to is 8. The jump from 5 to 6 wins is huge because the jump from 5 to 6 is the biggest jump because you go from no bowl game to a bowl game. All right. It's the biggest jump you can make in college football. Oftentimes 9 to 10 is going to get you the playoffs. So for LSU, 9 to 10 would be the biggest jump, but not every team with 10 wins is going to make the playoffs. But for every team, when you get to 6, it's the biggest jump. So today was the biggest victory of the season, theoretically. But now, even if we went out to 7 to 8, there really isn't that much of a difference. To me, there's not. The jump from 6 to 7 is not a big jump at all. The jump from 7 to 8 is also not that big of a jump. So does your bowl game get a little bit better if you go from 6 to 8? Sure. But there's going to be a lot of SEC teams, especially now with Arkansas bottoming out, that's going to be in the 7-8 kind of win range. So we'll see how it goes. Okay. Excited Jamie. She wants to talk about Harold Perkins. And we'll talk about Harold Perkins. So coming up next, where does this game rank on the all-time great Harold Perkins games? What a day it was for him. Also coming up, what LSU should do about the Michael Van Buren redshirt situation. All that coming up and more.
PHL Nation, it's time to lock in and get serious really quickly with our friends at Fortified Gulf Coast and FortifiedGulf.com. This is my buddy Ramey. He is one of many Fortified Gulf Coast inspection professionals that are doing something to help you not only save your home, but your memories.
The Fortified program got started about 13 years ago. We adopted it here in New Orleans about 2.5 years ago. It's a more advanced way of doing the roof. It adds an extra layer of protection, whereas even if a hurricane was to pull the shingles off this roof, water will still not get into the house.
So yes, your establishment is important, but what about the things you can't replace? That family scrapbook or that painting that's been handed down from Meemaw to Papaw and to you. It is important to protect that today with Fortified Roofing. And while this seems like a priceless asset, did you know it can actually save you on your homeowner's insurance up to 37% if you are in South Louisiana? Just call the number 504-444-7563. That's 444-7563 or visit fortifiedgulf.com. That's FORTIFIEDGULF.com. Let's go. Power Hour Network listeners and viewers, you might be consuming this content with that crick in your back that you've been trying to get rid of for so long. Take this as your sign today to book your appointment with LabourdTherapy.com. In the Lafayette region, there is no one that you will find that cares more about any different type of pain that you might have than the team at LabourdTherapy.com. Book today. Once again, that's LABORDE therapy.com, or you can visit one of their 5 locations all throughout the Lafayette region.
Let's go. Harold Perkins had himself a day. How about it? Cliff, you want to say something? You could say something. Come on, I got an extra mic right here.
Oh,
Say what you wanted to say about Harold Perkins. Come hold it.
not Harold Perkins.
Go on ahead. What you got? Go on ahead. Say what your thoughts on the game, Cliff.
The thoughts on the game were that they showed resiliency, which is always a good thing. They didn't lose the game. They didn't play not to lose the game. I think Harold Perkins did show up, played well. They just, the thing that makes me so upset is that they have never found a groove for Harold Perkins to excel. One play in the game, we were sitting there watching. It was 3rd and long, and Harold Perkins goes off the field. I don't know what defense they were in. It didn't matter. But if it's 3rd and like more than 12, why not send him as a rusher? Like put him as part of the rush package. Why is he on the sidelines, right? But the overall vibe of the stadium, although it wasn't that many people, was positive. It was good, and let's just build for the future, man. Is MVP it? Who knows? We need a coach. We need a couple things, but I see good things for us in the future, man.
Would you be open to a Frank Wilson coach team?
No, not at all. Not at all. I do not, even though I think Frank is a great interim, he's not the guy. He's not the guy unless I think for Frank to have gotten this job, Frank would have had to have one last week and then one on out. And then he would have made a case for himself. But I don't see him. It's like several people who are great assistant coaches, great coordinators, but not a good head coach. He is the recruiting godfather. He is the guy who keeps the program, the fuel pumped in, great recruiter. That's what is the lifeblood, right? The lifeblood of the program. So you keep a Frank Wilson. You keep the what's the guy Thomas?
Austin Thomas.
Austin Thomas is who you need to stay in here. You know, if you can keep the Corey Raymond, then you keep him. I think those are the key pieces: Austin Thomas, Corey Raymond, and Frank Wilson. If the next coach can keep those guys, great. But you know, it's all about W's, man. And I don't see this team. I don't see a big improvement. I think they held on against a bad team. It was bad on bad and good on good, right? Our worst offense against their worst defense, and then our defense against their good offense. So it great, but when we're celebrating 1-2 point wins over Arkansas, this is not LSU football. I'm sorry, it's just not.
What are we shooting back here?
We can do a little.
Who in here is a real bourbonite? Come on, you what? Because I'm not a bourbon guy. I'm gonna drink vodka. We're doing Buffalo Trace. I'm a Buffalo soldier.
I can do the Buffalo Trace, and you can do the Absolute Vodka if you'd like.
I'm a Buffalo soldier.
I might do a little Eagle Rare. I don't know.
Eagle Rare.
That's on the top shelf. If anybody has a suggestion on what they want me to pour for a bourbon, that's fine. I think Carr's going to do a little vodka. We got the Blantons there. We got some things in the back you can't see. We got all the Wellers except for one. Elmer T. Lee, Thomas Handy Sazerac, Colonel Taylor, Eagle Rare 10. We got a bunch of Penelopes back there. We got some Vegas. We got some of the Las Vegas ones as well. So if you can see it, you can name it. I will pour it.
I'm gonna do vodka lemonade here in a second.
Okay, I'll get that going.
Oh yeah, let's do it. We have got to celebrate. It's the Golden Boot, man. That's going to be our Super Bowl. It shouldn't be our Super Bowl. Might be my Super Bowl. My mother was at the game, and she's lived in Arkansas for a good chunk of her life, and she hates Arkansas. She just wanted to win this one game so bad. Patrick said, "Get the Weller." Which one? Well, which one, Patrick? Okay.
Let's go.
We might, not to get everybody too crazy, we might have a few guests coming through here. I kind of want to go live for as long as humanly possible. I kind of want to break the streak. We're going to hear from Frank Wilson here in just a second. The next thing I want to talk about is the LSU offensive line. So what do we do? Oh, okay, absolute. All right, here we go. So what do we do about the LSU offensive line? Well, Ori Williams, they subbed him in and out. He's a big guy. He looks the part of an SEC offensive lineman. If we're going to be completely honest, tough day. Kern gave up a sack as well. Emotional game for Carius Kern because, well, he was very close to being an Arkansas Razorback. Oh, let's go. I'll go heavier on the pour. I can. Go ahead. There we go. Perfect. That's a thing of beauty.
Stealing your aunt's lemonade, man. That's awesome.
I know. Yeah, you can, Dressy. Let's go to Blessed. My thoughts on the North Texas coach. Coach Morris. And by Morris, I mean Raheem Morris. No, I'm kidding. Eric Morris is a good coach.
Green?
We're going Weller Green. Let's go. Raheem Morris is a good coach. Eric Morris is a good coach. There's a piece of me that would prefer either one over Frank. But I do want to talk about what LSU needs to do at the offensive line the next couple of weeks. I would still keep the offensive tackle rotation the way it was. Obviously, this is a massive problem. But you saw today where the quarterback mobility really helps mitigate some of that. But at the same time, it wasn't their worst game. Quincy Rhodes 97 is one of the better ends we have played. And he didn't really do a whole lot today. But it's very important to not get too carried away with the overall performance of this LSU offense. We were just at 5.6 yards per play. Okay. Now, I do want to talk about the higher than you probably would think likelihood, probability of Frank Wilson being the next coach. It's like I said, it's probably higher than you think. So why is that the case? Well, you take a look at the recruiting calendar. It's going to be really hard with the transfer portal windows being the way that they are now to bring in someone else and not lose your roster. It's going to be really, really, really hard, especially if you want to get a college football playoff coach. Now, if you get a coordinator, it's a little bit different. Coordinator is more than likely going to leave his team and start his new job as the LSU coach. So if for some reason you wanted to get Colin Klein, he's probably leaving Texas A&M to come be your coach. He probably is. But you're probably not going to want Colin Klein. I think a lot of you want someone with head coaching experience, which I think is not necessary. I think I go back to what the great Josh Pate said on ESPN a few weeks ago. There's probably 20 to 30 coaches who could win at LSU and do really good things here. This job has a really high floor attached to it. where if you keep your head on straight and you have effort and you make decent coordinator hires and avoid having 2 disaster coordinator hires, strip your 4 seasons in half where you had 2 years with a not so great defensive coordinator and 2 years with a not so great offensive coordinator. There's a lot of guys that can get here and win big, win very, very, very big. So the question is, could Frank Wilson do that? Could Frank Wilson build the program in his image and be the guy? Well, let's first go through a few different things in Frank's favor. Obviously, the calendar is the biggest thing as far as immediate success for next year. That is the first thing that comes to mind. But arguably an even bigger thing would be the money. Frank is not going to cost a whole heck of a lot. And you could honestly, if you go to him and give him the deal that you give, let's say, I don't know, the lowest paid SEC coach is Mississippi State's coach. You give him $4 million a year to be the head coach, he probably says yes to that. If you make him the non-lowest paid SEC coach. So money is also a thing here. And then, of course, it's going to be very important to hire great coordinators. Well, I think there would be quite a few coordinators that would be very open to come be the LSU offensive coordinator. You also have a defensive staff that you probably mostly want to keep intact. I think most of us like the way our defensive coaches have performed, including today, where they did some really good things. But then, of course, you get into the negatives, and there are quite a few negatives. Number one, he's not really been a head coach at the P4 level before. He does have head coaching experience. Another negative would be, well, he wasn't really that good in his other job, but that doesn't exclude him from being actually good here. And then, of course, another negative would be you are going to need to rebuild this entire LSU offensive staff anyway. Out of all the offensive coaches that are on the staff right now, the one who was the safest for probably the next staff is probably Frank Wilson. So Frank would have to fire a lot of these people who he's close to and then go rehire quite a few coordinators anyway. I don't think you could justifiably bring Brad Davis back. Cortez Hankton's a little bit of a different story. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay. Okay. David wants to fire the special teams coach. Well, look, I want to defend him. Number one, it was a big jump up to come from Grambling to where he is now. But he's not a full-time assistant. I am of the belief that you want your full-time assistant to be a full-time assistant. Okay. Brandon says, give me Kiffin. Well, yeah, LSU is in the Kiffin sweepstakes. Allegedly. We'll see. Okay? Let's go to Cole. His head coaching experience at UTSA was horrible. It was. And at McNeese, too. It wasn't great. But the difference, though, is so was Ed Orgeron. It's a little bit different when you actually now have experience with him being the coach. Now, for me, that would not be the direction I would head. And as great as Michael Van Buren has been, I think there's quite a few quarterbacks that would excite you that would be interested in coming to LSU. So we'll see how MVB does in these final few weeks. Okay. So let's see. We got some Frank Wilson audio here. Let's pull some up. Here we go. Let's hear from Frank for a little bit, and we'll react here in just a second. Okay? Frank Wilson after LSU Arkansas.
For our university, a remarkable day for our football team that displayed resiliency, toughness, all the things that make us Tigers. My pregame speech to our football team said to them, I know you want to play hard. I know you're going to play hard. Here's what the charge and the ask is. That when adversity hits you, you find a way, you will a way, and you keep on punching because it's going to happen. I wish I could tell you we're going to shut them out and it'll be 50-0. That's not a reality. The reality is you're going to have to earn everything that you get, and they won't give it to you. They never have. And so we find ourselves in the first quarter, 14-0. After the first series, a block punt that went scoop and score. Then they answered it again. And so it tests our resolve. And it makes you look in the mirror at yourself to see if you have what it takes. We had what it took today. I'm so proud of our football team and how they represented themselves, our university, and they never say die spirit. They just kept on fighting and kept on punching. And I'm proud to be in the position I am to have led them to this victory. They earned it. They earned it the hard way.
Coach, you have a long-standing relationship with Harlem and his family. Just talk about what you saw out of him tonight and just his ability to make guys miss, I would say.
Yeah, we had various situations throughout the game, and you play it out. And I stood before you guys last week in a 2-minute or middle eight, if you will, the end of the second going into the third with us getting the ball back. And from up top, the question that was asked was, do we want to just kneel it? No, we're not kneeling it. No, we're not going to just kneel it. We're going for points. We're going to empty the chamber. We're going for points. And we're going to hopefully get an opportunity to score again in the third. And so at the minus 20, after an interception, go length of field, 80 yards and get 3 points. At the back end of the game in a 4-minute drill where you have to get a first down. They're a dangerous football team, and all they need is 3 to overcome us or to beat us at that point. So we need a first down. We get a couple of them, and then the game was in Harlem's hand at that moment on 3rd and 3. And you got to make a decision. All right, do you kick a field goal and still give them opportunity with a very dangerous quarterback in offense, the number 8 offense in college football, or do you try to shut the door? Because all you need is 3. And he pops a big one. He takes it on his own. He knew that there would be one guy backside. Go win you one-on-one. This is what you were born to do. He won his one-on-one, and it helped propel us to victory.
There is a piece of you that says, look, if Frank Wilson were to come back, you're guaranteed to have Harlem Berry back. And you're guaranteed to have Caden Durham back, who was honestly just as good, if not better. Seems like a pretty good running back room to me. So we'll play some more Frank Wilson audio here in just a second. Okay. You look at the rest of the SEC today. The story is going to be the South Carolina, Texas A&M comeback from the morning window. But then again, obviously Alabama's in a dogfight right now with Oklahoma. We'll see what happens there. Tennessee's doing Tennessee things to North Carolina State, to New Mexico State. And then, of course, we'll see what Georgia does tonight. Crazy day in the SEC. Crazy day. Clemson won on Friday night. I I'm very glad we're out of the Jeff Brom sweepstakes. That was a crazy collapse by Louisville. And obviously that one game does not define Jeff Brom, but it's tough. Let's go to David, a member at the College World Series. How good is Harlem Berry? Look, this is the third consecutive season we have had a true freshman running back do very special things just for them to have a minor regression the next season. All right, so we had this with Caleb Jackson, great true freshman season. He's still on the sidelines, so there you go. Then, of course, you have Harlem Berry. Last year, you had Caden Durham. I don't really think Caden's really regressed this season. I just think the offensive environment is just not good. You know, not many offensive linemen are going to be good after Will Campbell leaves. I said offensive linemen. Not many running backs are going to be good when Will Campbell leaves. So for me, I am of the belief that you look at a guy like Harlem Berry, you know, don't put the cart before the horse as far as how great he could be. But, man, the eye test is the eye test. And he really stands out. It's been really good. I thought his size would be a minor deterrent in his first season, but I was really high on him. Okay? I wasn't, like, sky high like some of you are, but, like, and I mean sky high like you truly, I mean, some of you said he was going to be Reggie Bush. But damn, dude, he's good. He's just good, man. You're right about that. Caden did look good today. Once again, though, the real test is going to be Oklahoma. That's going to be the real test. That's all there is to it. Oklahoma is going to decide everything. Okay? If Michael Van Buren beats Oklahoma in Norman, especially if Oklahoma wins today, and they would still be in the playoff picture more than likely if we played them. We'll see. That last juke was Bijan Robinson like. It did look a little like Bijan. All right. Goes through the right side and just puts the safety on skates, sliding back and forth like a slalom skier. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let's see here. Is there anything else I want to get to? Oh, yeah. Let's play some more of this Frank Wilson post game. And we're going to get to more of your questions, super chats, and all of that. I don't want to cut Frank off after one question. Once again, this via LSU Sports.
Coach, on your game-winning drive, you broke out some very creative plays.
Yeah.
Did you practice those all during the week and you're saving them all for one drive, or what's the thinking?
No, we practiced them all week. Some had been with us, some from last week, some we added this week, just vulnerabilities and ways we thought we had to be creative to find a way to score. And so to the staff, it was, you know, we're going to just leave these bullets here and practice these plays and come back and then talk about, man, we should have did this. We could have did that. We're not doing it. Empty the chamber, use everything that we've practiced. And we began to call those things and go down the field. And it worked out for us. They worked out in our favor. And there are no guarantees, but it gives you a chance. And also that's all our kids needed and wanted was a chance. And so we called the things that we thought could give us opportunity to get chunk yardage and big plays. And tonight it worked, or this afternoon it worked in our favor.
How was Michael Van Buren today in his first start, at least from your vantage point?
Yeah, he started off a little slow, but he got going and he got comfortable. You know, this is that's a huge responsibility for the quarterback of the LSU Fighting Tigers to go into that arena. Our fans are the best in the world. Our fans could be tough sometimes as well. And so he knew what was in front of him. he got comfortable and began to take control of the game, of the football team, and picked up huge yardage at opportunities and rushing and great throws at times as well. I was proud of him. I thought he played admirably and got the game into a point where he was able to affect change and dictate for our football team.
In the back, Coach Wilson, you being the interim head coach with a team that has been through a lot this season with the gritty win and doing it in Tiger Stadium, what did it mean to you?
It means everything to myself and to our staff. I told our staff, I'm proud of them in the way that they prepared, the way that they challenged their position group, the way that they coached. But I'm even more proud, and I want them, as I concluded meeting with them, when we go into that locker room, you love on these babies. You let them know, I appreciate you for doing what was asked of you. And it's just, it culminated. It culminated in this day for our staff and for our players. So a big win for us, and I'm more overjoyed for our football team.
How did Nussmeier re-injure himself? When did he do it, and what are his prospects going forward?
He re-injured himself the back end of this week in practice, just making a routine throw. I don't know if it was scar tissue or exactly what it is from a diagnostic standpoint, but it's his ab area. And so it happened at the back end of this week. What is it going forward? I'm not quite sure. We practiced up until yesterday to see if there was opportunity that was potential if we got in an emergency situation, and he was not able to do so. And so we'll continue to monitor him day by day, week by week, to see his progress.
Yeah, Frank, the playmaking ability of your defense today really showed. Looked like they bent at times but never broke. Just talk about their performances and just how big of a boost they gave you today.
Yeah, 3 turnovers, found, knocked the ball away, picked the ball off, goal line stand, short yardage stand, and just continue to make play after play. And that's the reality of it, right? Of a heavyweight fight, that you're gonna get a haymaker now. You're gonna get a haymaker and how you respond from it. And so they put us in position to achieve victory today in their style of play.
This Mansur Delane, they tested him today, and for some reason he picked off the interception to the goal line. Just how important it's been all year for you, but particularly today.
Yeah, he's a young man who knows what he wants, right? He came here to position himself to have an opportunity to get into the playoffs. He's a young man that came here to position himself with an opportunity to enhance his draft potential. He does it weekly for us in his preparation. It carries over on Saturdays and games. And it's a reflection of when hard work meets opportunity in preparation. That's the result you get. And so very proud of Mansur and the job he's doing.
Coach, in the back over here, not a football specific question with the scheme, but you're the second African-American to hold the title of head coach for LSU in any capacity. The other, of course, being Brad Davis on your staff, and now you're the first Black man to lead LSU to a win as its head coach. With that in mind, how does that feel for you?
Yeah. To be in position to lead this team to victory after 3 weeks of agony, right? You want so much for those young people who came here with hope, with dreams and aspiration. You want to deliver for them. You want to put them in position to have success, that they recognize that me coming here was not in vain, that this is the place where dreams become a reality, right? And so, so much of what we do, what I do is to serve the young people here, to serve this institution that very little thought I've given to what it is for me personally. I think it runs its natural course with that, whatever that may be. I just want to be the best version of me. I acknowledge those who have knocked on the door and hope for opportunity as African-American coaches for many years. I stand on the shoulders of those men who are giants. And so I'm very fortunate. I'm very proud. I'm very humbled to be in position to be able to help this team and earn victory.
Frank, it's kind of a follow-up to that. I mean, the TV broadcast told a story about how I think you recently had a familial loss, a loss in your family of some kind. Would you like to speak on that? And what was sort of going through your mind when, you had the Gatorade bath poured on you and you're in this moment where you're celebrating a win as the interim coach?
Yeah, so it wasn't a relative. It was a guy who, when I was 26 years old, said in these exact words, "Boy, you're special. Boy, you special." Like, who, me? Nah, yes, you are. And he gave me an opportunity to be a head coach at that tender age. And I would talk to him weekly, daily, regularly. And he fell ill, but I didn't know he was ill because my mother had been ill. And he didn't want me to worry about him. He wanted to support me about my mother. So Sunday, when our transition happened, that Tuesday, his daughter reached out to me and told me she didn't reach out to me. He didn't call. He didn't answer. So I reached out to him, never got him. Then at the back end of last week, the beginning of the week, I reached out to her and she told me that he was not doing well. He was in the hospital. And I said, "Can I talk to him?" And she just said, yes. I never got a chance to talk to him. So she called back and she said, I said, "Does he know? Does he know what's happening?" And she's like, "He knows. He's in and out of consciousness." And I said, "What did he say?" And she said, "I told him that I told you." And he said, "We did it." And he closed his eyes. And so I went to a funeral. I've never spoken at a funeral before. So I stood in front of the room and I said, I speak in front of people every day of my life, routinely, without issue. And it became very difficult because those words that she said meant so much. And so when a follow-up to the question, what does that mean? And for him and for so many others, we did this. And I carry that with a badge of honor. We did this. My only resentment is that he's not here to enjoy it with me. We got a chance to be in the Superdome for state title as a high school coach, but he didn't get a chance to see this. And everywhere I've been, he's been there with me. His name is Shane Williams. He was a principal superintendent down in New Orleans, well-renowned. And so it was him that passed.
Yeah. Wow. Frank's a great storyteller. So apparently my Mansour Delane film study is getting picked apart here. So I'm going to let you be the deciding factor of this. If the wide receiver still needs to catch this football, okay? So here's the film review I did right when I got back here. Cut it pretty quickly. Maybe the haters out there talking about this, maybe it should have been. All right, let's do a share screen. I thought I was sharing it already. My bad. Unless share screen's not working. Okay. So apparently, the wide receiver still should catch his football.
A quick out to his go-to slot guy, Raylan Sharp. So Mansour Delane is getting screened right here, and Taylen Green thinks he has his quick out. He throws the football late, which gives Mansour Delane, who's at a leverage disadvantage, a chance to come in and make this play. And what does Mansour Delane do? Okay, because this ball is just a half a beat late, guess what? Mansour Delane is able to come in and get his hand in there and wrestle this tackle football away. It forces Arkansas to kick a field goal, which, of course, in Arkansas fashion, they miss. And you'll get it from this angle as well. Look at this. All right, great recovery speed right here by Delane. The football hits him right in the chest, but Delane is able to get his hand into it, and he fights to the bitter end for this rep. You can see he actually has possession of the football when his booty is on the ground. It's just Delane also has his hand in there and is able to rip it away. What a game, Tiger Stadium.
And there's already draft analysts telling me, hey, you're just a biased LSU fan. Quit glazing. The wide receivers got to catch that. Guess what? You can shut the hell up. That's a great play. It's a great play. Why can't you just say, yeah, it would be nice if the receiver could catch the football. But it's a great play. Like, that's a phenomenal play. Did the DB not do something there? Quit acting like that was just a drop. It's a great play. But people call me a glazer. I'm telling you, some of these guys that cover the NFL draft, you know one thing I don't like about some of the draft writers? Is you can say a gazillion things about an NFL draft prospect, and it doesn't matter. You're not held accountable. Like, I like it when people hold me accountable for things I get right and things I get wrong. I thought Garrett Nussmeier was going to be a very good SEC quarterback. I thought he was going to be close in the discussion of going to New York City. I missed on that. All right. But the good thing about being an NFL draft writer is no one cares if you're right or wrong. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's the easiest job in the world. I say it's the easiest job in the world. It's not the easiest job in the world. Okay. But and I have a lot of respect for a lot of draft folks, but there's one draft guy commenting under that Twitter video, under a quote tweet. I saw it. I was like, wow, that's crazy. They're saying it's a drop. It's not a drop. That's not a drop in the sense that it hits you in the chest and it falls to the ground. That's a great play by the DB. Can we stop with the bullshit? Okay, just tip your hat to a DB every once in a while. But no, it's a drop. It's people saying, oh, dude, this dude's glazing. Stop glazing. He's got to catch that. No, you do not have to catch that. I've seen great defensive backs make that play a gazillion times over. It's okay to admit that the other team has good players. Okay? Got some good news regarding some players getting some postseason love. That'll be coming out soon. I don't want to spill the beans. I just got a message, Joe. So I'll let that news come out when it comes out. Okay, like he disrupted the catch. I don't understand that. And you get paid to write about the NFL draft. I'll show it to you. Actually, I won't show it. You can go see it for yourself. Someone quote tweeted it and said, oh, this dude's ridiculous. And I think it's because me and him, this draft writer, got into it because he compared Taylen Green. All right. I think this was him. It might have been someone else. This draft writer compared the quarterback for the Arkansas Razorbacks, who I like. I love Taylen Green. Okay. But I do an Arkansas film study every week. I've done it for 4 years now. I've done Arkansas for 4 years. I've done Tennessee for 3. Oklahoma, I do one. I've done Oklahoma for 3 years now. I have watched every throw that Taylen Green has made. Okay. And there's this one random draft writer who compared him this offseason to Vince Young. Vince Young in the year of 2025. The Arkansas quarterback that you saw today, they were comparing him to Vince Young. And Taylen Green's very good. He is very, very, very good. There are times when you watch him and it's like, that's Jaden Daniels, watered down. He's good. But Vince Young? So I pushed back. I think it was the same draft writer. He was coming after me. Vince Young? You compared the quarterback we saw today to Vince Young? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I pushed back on it. I was like, no, well, hold on. Hold on just a second. Not Vince Young. There's only one of those guys. But it is what it is. Let's go. If I come off as a Monster Delane homer, so be it. So the F be it. All right? I'm sorry. That was one of the best games a corner has played. Now, I do want to go on a rant here, if you guys don't mind. Before we do skedaddle, once again, we're going to get to all your super chats, all that stuff. Big thanks to our top super chatter, Sourdough Man. We'll keep it moving, okay? I do want to talk about a player that has received the most criticism because he's not really that great. And he had a tough game today as well. But he did score the final touchdown and win the game. Okay. Let's talk about Bauer Sharp. Okay. Bauer Sharp. It's important to remember that Bauer Sharp was a quarterback to start his career. So him being a good receiving tight end makes sense. There's a lot of quarterbacks that were once quarterbacks that turn into good receiving tight ends or good receivers in general. Okay. So for Bauer Sharp to be a good blocker is tough. But whether it's the blocks or the fumbles, he's made big plays for us. Okay, so he made the big catch versus Florida as our most explosive play in the game. He's got really good speed. He found the weak spot in the defense to score the touchdown today. But I love it when players hear it from people like me. And it's tough because you do not want to be critical of players. You just don't want to do it. But holy moly, Bauer Sharp, I love it. Love it. Love it when players don't do well, but they have that one moment of greatness. And as bad as Bauer Sharp has been at times this season, he's always going to have that moment. He won us the Golden Boot today with that catch. Now, did he have some tough moments in this game? Yes, because he's Bauer Sharp. Okay, he's just not that great of a player. It's okay to admit that. But at the same time, it's okay to be happy for him to make this play. We obviously brought him in. You obviously have to pay him because he was a transfer that was coveted. He led Oklahoma in receptions last year with 40. I think it was like 41 or 42. But he's not that good. He made the big play today. So to Bauer, if you're watching this, yes, there are people out there like myself that like to tell it like it is and say when things that are going good are going good. Today, you got the job done. And you deserve that moment. You really do. You really, really, really do. Okay? Now, I had a conversation with someone. I don't know Donovan Green. Yeah, I've shared before that I've met players. It's a reason I was here today. But, you know, I did learn that there's a PHLer who's developed a friendship with Donovan Green. And I won't say who. And I want him to play more. I really, really, really do. I would love for him to come back. But the truth is, we need to get actual tight ends. We need real tight ends. Because part of what's holding Trey'Dez Green back is that we're trying to, at a necessity, use him as an actual tight end. Big Al, what's going on? No, not that I know of. But we should get that pretty soon. Okay? Let's get to a few more. Well, from the 616, you missed a Tiger victory. Let's see. USC gets it done versus Iowa. There we go. No, they all rotated. They all played. Yeah. There was a heavy rotation there at off at the tackle. Okay. Still can't believe A&M pulled that off today. 30-3. Let's get to a few more. Oklahoma's taking the lead. Okay. Let's go to free throw 92. I think I saw you at the game. Did you sit above the visiting team? I did. I did for the first 3 quarters, and then to the 4th quarter, I sat behind the LSU bench with my family. Okay. My parents who were there. I do want to go through a few of these photos from today. Okay. Got to meet a longtime friend of mine, the vegetable boy. That's what I call him. I got avocado. Turn this off. Okay. Oh, I see what happened. Let me turn this off. No, and there we go. I didn't know that was even on. Okay, got to see him today. Big thanks to the Pyburn family for having me a little bit earlier. This is Kevin, one of our biggest supporters in from Atlanta. Drove in today. This is me and my folks right here. Good times. I didn't get this man's name from Pineville, or I don't remember it. I think it was, see, I wrote it down. Hunter in Pineville. Shout out to you, Hunter in Pineville. And then of course, we shared that the Jack Pyburn photo from earlier today. There's plenty more here. But yeah, big thanks. All right, y'all. That's pretty much going to do it for me. Actually, there's a little bit more of this Frank Wilson post. We're going to get through the final bit of this audio. Once again, this all via the great folks at LSUsports.net.
Hey, Coach Tula. You already spoke about Harlem, but when you were introduced as interim, you made sure to reiterate we are going to run the ball. So how do you just assess the success of the rushing attack today?
Yeah, I thought we did a good job rushing the ball. I think there's still yardage out there to be getting. We'll continue. I just think when you look at this football game and our offense plays 70 plus snaps and our defense plays 50 snaps, that's what allows them to be so dominant as a.
Guys on your first win, Coach. Tiger Stadium. I love you, Coach.
Thank you, Caden. Don't fall, Caden. Right. I think that's a testament of what we were trying to achieve. When they're that dangerous as an offense, you want to reduce their opportunity. We want to increase our opportunities. And we were able to do that because we ran the ball well, because we beat them in time of possession and more possessions compared to what they had. And so the defense, now their ears are pinned back, they're fresh and they're eager, and they're able to go out there and play their very best. And it's a compliment of the rush game.
Frank, with Van Buren's performance today and obviously the result of the game, what is the hope that today does for him moving forward?
Yeah, continue to ascend, that he knows. When we talked about him playing, in his mind, he came here for an apprenticeship, if you will, to learn the offensive system, to be developed, to be the apparent the next year. And we talked about that, and we were willing to honor that. And he said to me, things change. I said, things has changed. What's your thoughts? He said, Coach, I want to play. I said, I want you to play if that's what you want to do. And this would be something that will be taken in consideration and not just an opportunity to go in to run a zone read and then take you out, that we would invest in you and we would develop you so that you become the best version of you going forth. And so I think he is an ascending player that continues to improve. And the more he plays, I think the more productive he will be. Thank you, guys.
There we go. Now, I will tell you this. As excited as I am for Frank, I have never had a one-on-one conversation with Frank Wilson. I have with his wife and his family at the SEC championship game a few years ago. Very nice people. I do want to say one thing. Frank Wilson deserves to be the LSU coach more than Willie Green deserved to be the Pelicans head coach. Thank goodness. As excited as I was today with LSU winning the damn Golden Boot, which matters more to me than life itself, I would be remiss to not also celebrate. I know it's an LSU live stream. Willie Green is king. Thank goodness. What the hell? What took so damn long? Now I can watch my favorite NBA team. Woo! We are freed. God bless America. Thank you. Thank you. I've always believed in a higher power, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I will never, ever pray for another man's downfall. But this young man, oh, Willie, should have never been brought back for this season. Woo! Thank you. Thank you that he's king. So the Borrego era starts now. There you go. Okay? Let's go to Pegasus. What are the 3 to 5 things the next head coach must have for me? Okay. Well, number 1, what is your overall game management theory? basically, what are your thoughts overall on fourth down? What are your overall thoughts on field goal aggression, timeout usage? Because it's been a problem. I think for the most part with fourth down decision making, we've been fine. Then, of course, you get into the second thing, which is what's your offensive philosophy? What's your offensive theory? If you hire a defensive coach, what is your opinion on who you're going to hire as an OC? That's obviously a big one. Okay. Alabama coming up on a fourth down here. They have to go for it with 2 timeouts. Yeah, you got to go for it. I mean, you could punt it away, but no. Not giving that football back to John Mateer. You got to let Ty Simpson decide this. Oklahoma, of course, we could spoil their college football playoff here in a few weeks. It's funny because before the season, I said LSU was going to go 9-3, and they would be playing a de facto playoff game with Oklahoma. It looks like and Alabama gets the first down to keep it alive. So there you go. What a day. We win the turnover battle. All right, y'all. That'll do it for me. Big thanks to everybody in the post-game. Sourdough Man, thank you so much. And we will have more than likely a defensive film study lined up for you tomorrow night at 8 a.m. or tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And, yeah, there we go. The battle for the Golden Boot is ours. It is. Power Hour LSU. Boom. Tonight we are doing some pasta. Let's go. Let's go.